Hey everybody, Jim here. Welcome back for another video. Earlier today, I was working on some new game reviews and realized that I want to say something like 80% of the reviews I've been putting out as of late have all been shoot 'em ups. I've been just playing a ton of shoot 'em ups as of late. In particular, playing a lot of shooters on my Nintendo Switch. So I rounded up a whole big stack of them, these games right here, and I thought since I've been playing so many shooters and reviewing them and etc, I might as well have a sit down and talk about what I think are maybe some of the best shoot 'em ups available on the Switch right now, or at the very least the best in my collection as of right now. There are a lot of shooters on the Switch, some of them available digitally only, others having physical releases. I'm only going to be talking about games that actually have physical releases today, so there are some that have been released digitally on the Switch that are awesome. I'm not going to be talking about those today, only these right here, and of course I haven't played every shoot 'em up on the Switch because, like I said, there's more coming out all the time, so I'm probably going to overlook something that you probably really like, so feel free to let me know down in the comments what an idiot I am for leaving out some epic shooters on the Switch. But I want to get started. I got 3 games right here. These are all fairly recent releases of cave shooters, bullet hell shooters on the Switch. So I'd like to talk about these first. And right off the top of the stack, I think probably the best of the bunch as far as the cave shooters that have been currently released on the Switch. I know that M2 is working on, as we speak, Dodonpachi Daiojo for the Switch. That's going to be part of their Shot Triggers collection, which is going to be awesome. But speaking of that, ESP Raid Psy. This game is fantastic. If you've ever played a cave shooter before, you kind of know what you're getting into, because it has a similar vibe to a lot of their other top-down shooters. But I guess what makes this kind of a standout game is you're playing as psychics flying through the air using their Psy abilities to destroy other psychics, as well as tanks and robots and things like that. So that's pretty cool. So you got one who's has pyrokinesis, another one uses sort of just green energy, this, that, and the other. So it's pretty cool. So it's kind of like playing almost like a Dodonpachi or something, but instead of using fighter ships, you're using people, because they also have kind of the same controls. You'll have a rapid shot, a spread shot, a concentrated shot, and instead of having super bombs in this game, you actually have a Psy energy meter, which you can use while you're charging it up. It forms a barrier around you, so you're impervious to damage, but at the same time, when you touch enemies and bullets with it, you can convert those things into point bonuses. So that's really cool. And then when you finally let go of the button, you charge up your power shot, you do this big psychic blast. So that's really cool. So it's a really fun game, challenging, bunch of gameplay modes on here. Arcade mode, Arcade Plus, super easy mode, and then in each mode there are various options and settings you can play around with, even some cool bonus materials. So this game is just excellent all around. Great gameplay, great visuals, great sound design. Again, I think the best of the bunch as far as the cave shooters that have been currently released. So that's ESP Raid Psy. And then these other 2 games I have here are released by City Connection. City Connection kind of really screwed up, I guess, with their ports of some Saturn games recently. In particular, I think Cotton and Guardian Force, they did really bad on those. I don't know. I didn't play them. I didn't play them specifically because I heard how bad the ports were, and I'm not going to, spend my money on a game that I think is going to be, dog shit. But with these Xbox 360 ports, because that's what these are, ports of the Xbox 360 versions of these games, they did a good job. So they did Akai Katana Shin, and they did Death Smiles 1 and 2. And these came out really good. Like I said, they're just straight ports of the Xbox 360 versions. So there's not going to be additional gameplay modes and things like that. But that being said, when these were released on the 360, they were already pretty robust. For example, both of the Death Smiles games came with multiple gameplay modes. I think there was original arcade mode, and like an arranged mode and like a super easy, all kinds of different options for that. And same thing for Death Smiles too. There are at least 3 different gameplay modes for each of those 2 games. And then for Akai Katana, you get the original arcade mode, you get Zetsu Akai Katana, and then you get Akai Katana Shin mode, which I think it's like Blade mode or something to that effect. That's actually my favorite way to play, because you get to like launch huge katana swords across the screen and just get huge point bonuses. But both games are really great. So City Connection, I guess it's just easier to port over 360 games than Saturn games, I'm assuming. But these came out pretty good. They play good. I know that there is like some level of input lag. There always is, but it's really minuscule, because when I was playing these games, I didn't really notice it. So I guess it's pretty minimal, maybe like 4 frames of lag or something like that, which is like fine. Who's going to even notice that? You'd actually have to count the frames to even realize it was happening. So the ports are good, and the games are just awesome. Again, they're cave shooters, so they're a lot of fun. They're challenging, great visuals, great music, all that good stuff. So both of these by City Connection, Akai Katana Shin, Death Smiles 1 and 2, I can highly recommend those. Had a lot of fun with them. Big cave shooter fan. Next up, I'll go ahead and pair these 2 together. These are the Mikado Maniacs remixes by the fine folks at Mikado, the Retro Game Center here in Tokyo, a place I frequent quite a lot. But they did Raiden 4 and Raiden 3. And they did great jobs on both of these. You get kind of like an original mode, you get arranged modes, you get a lot of different difficulty settings, you've got challenge modes, and you can play individual stages and sections of stages as much as you want. There's a double mode where you can control 2 ships at once, which is fun. There's a bunch of bonus materials and redone soundtracks as well. So these are really, really cool. So there's all kinds of different options and things you can change and adjust for the gameplay, and like online leaderboards and multiplayer and all kinds of great stuff. So these are just fantastic. I think Raiden 4 Mikado Remix came out last year, and then Raiden 3 X Mikado Maniacs just came out this year. I think it came out in February. I don't quite remember, but both games are excellent. I can highly recommend these. They're just solid playing, very fun, very challenging shoot 'em ups with great graphics, great sound design. Again, the revamped, redone, remixed soundtracks are really, really good. They actually got the talents of some very good musicians, like DJs and online musicians here in Tokyo or in Japan in general. So that's really cool. So both Raiden 3 and Raiden 4, the Mikado remixes, the Mikado Maniacs, those are great. Next up, another port over of an Xbox 360 game, or a couple of Xbox 360 games, but Bullet Soul, the Double Soul Pack. These are 2 games that when they were released on the 360, I played them and just absolutely loved them. The first game was kind of cool because as you destroyed enemies, their bullets would turn into bullet souls, so they would be like totally harmless. So it's like the screen could be filling up with a ridiculous amount of bullets, but if you're destroying the right enemies fast enough, those bullets will be totally harmless. So that was cool. But there's also Bullet Soul Infinite Burst, which I had way more fun with because it's not a game that's like, it's not like a super dense game like a Dodon Pachi or something like that. It's way simpler than that. And as you're destroying enemies, the bullets will disappear as in the original Bullet Soul, but also all the enemies get turned into coins. So you collect the coins for big score bonuses, and you have a power meter, and when you enter a powered up mode, the coins turn red and they're worth even more points. And the more coins you collect, the longer you stay in your power mode. So it's just like a constant blowing up stuff, collecting coins, and it's just it's fun as hell. It's like playing a shoot 'em up that got mixed with like a slot machine. It's very kind of like overstimulating almost, because it's like this like really fast action bullet hell shooter with really bright graphics, a soundtrack that is just like high energy, badass. Like Bullet Soul Infinite Burst, there's a heavy metal remix soundtrack on it, so it sounds to me even better than the original soundtrack. Although in this version they do let you choose from like 3 different soundtracks. There are also a whole bunch of gameplay modes for both Bullet Soul and Infinite Burst. There's just a lot of content squeezed into this game. Again, it's a collection of both games, so it's awesome. They're very fun. Again, not the most challenging bullet hell shooters ever, but it's, I don't know, for me they're just like super, again I use the word stimulating. So yeah, they're just some of the most fun like I've had with a bullet hell shooter like ever is Bullet Soul Infinite Burst. So these are great, so I can recommend this as well. The Bullet Soul Double Soul Pack. Next up, this was something I had been waiting on for a long time. Another game developed by M2, or at least ported over by M2. This is the Ray's Arcade Chronology. And this is a collection of 3 games. There's Ray Force, Ray Storm, and Ray Crisis. 3 great top-down shooters developed by Taito back in the 90s. I really enjoy them. The gimmick to the gameplay is that you have a reticle in front of your ship, and you can use it to lock on to enemies and then blast them with homing lasers. So that's really cool. The first game, Ray Force, is my favorite. It's my favorite visually as well because I like the 2D sprite work and everything. But all 3 games are really good. And in addition, on this collection, because I know it is going to be getting a release, I think in North America, but that one is going to be called, or it's my understanding that it's going to be called something like Ray Storm, Ray Crisis, HD something or other, and it's only going to have Ray Storm and Ray Crisis. Here though, the Japanese release actually published by Taito. It has Ray Force, Ray Storm, Ray Crisis, and then it also has HD versions of Ray Storm and Ray Crisis. So a bunch of different ways to play. The only thing it was kind of lacking was like bonus materials, but that's not really such a big deal because you get 3 absolutely amazing shoot 'em ups ported wonderfully by M2. So this is one I highly recommend if you're a shooter fan. I would say don't wait for, especially if they're going to omit Ray Force, I'd say F that, don't bother with it. Pick up the Japanese version, get all the games, all the content, everything you want. But yeah, I was just like elated, ecstatic to have this game finally. The Ray's Arcade Collection, absolutely love it. Next up, a game that was published by Pixel Heart. I've been really enjoying a lot of stuff by Pixel Heart as of late. This was like a game that kind of came out of nowhere for me because it's a sequel to an old Neo Geo shooter that I'd never played. I'm not sure I ever even actually heard of it before. But then when they said they were releasing this, Andro Dunos II, and I saw the trailer and I saw how it looked, I was like, I gotta play this immediately. So picked it up and just immediately loved it. It really does have the feel of a very good kind of early 90s Neo Geo shooter. So it made me want to go back and play the original Andro Dunos, which I still have not yet. But a lot of those Neo Geo shooters from back in the day, stuff like Last Resort and Polestar and stuff, always love those games. Here, fantastic. Like I said, the feel of a retro game. So the visuals will remind you of Neo Geo stuff back in the day. The soundtrack is really good. The gameplay is excellent. As you're playing, you can swap between 4 different weapons at any time, and you have a power meter, and when it builds up, you can use like an overpowered, overcharged weapon ability that does a lot of damage, and that's excellent. And then you have to go through like a cooldown period for before you can use it again, and the weapon you were on when you used it will go back down to like a weaker power level, so you'll want to switch over to something, and you can pick up a bunch of orbs. Orbs at the end of the stage you can actually use to improve the strength of your weapons, and if you die, I believe the weapon you have selected at the time will actually go down a power level. But all 4 weapons can be brought up, I think 7 different power levels, and then you can also get you can use like shields, I think, and stuff like that too. And you can also power up the shields. So there's just a lot going on in the game, but just generally speaking, it controls well, it plays great, the graphics are great, the sound design is excellent. This is actually one of my favorite shooters from last year and one of my favorite shooters on the Switch. It's really good. It's not the longest game, and it would be nice to have some more content included. It would be super cool if there was like some DLC with just like more stages or whatever. because that's the only drawback of this game, is it's not terribly long, but it's so good that you'll just want to play through it over and over again, or at least I did. So this is one, Andro Dunos II. If you're a shooter fan, I feel like you should have that on your Switch. Next up, 2 games here. Both of these, again, from M2, part of the M2 Shot Triggers. I've reviewed both of these collections. They're absolutely great, but they are the TOA Plan Shooting Garage collections. And the first one is the Tiger Heli collection, or Kyukyoku Tiger. So it's got Tiger Heli, and it's got Twin Cobra, and it's got the Genesis version, it's got the PC Engine version, it's got the arcade version, and then the arcade version, you have all kinds of different options and stuff you can play around with to change the gameplay experience. So it's awesome. And then the second one was the Same 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 collection, or it's Sky Shark and Fire Shark. And Fire Shark, one of my absolute favorite shoot-'em-ups for the Sega Genesis. So when I saw that they were going to be releasing this, I picked it up immediately. You get the Mega Drive version and the Genesis version and the arcade version. And again, with the arcade version, you have lots of different options for customization. You can tailor the gameplay to your preferences. And then you also get Sky Shark. Sky Shark's really cool, but really I wanted this for Fire Shark. And the other one I really wanted for Twin Cobra. And they come with other arcade releases, non-shooter games on it, but those I didn't really care about. Those they could have omitted those entirely. I really wouldn't have cared. But just everything they did with these games, you've got like boss attack modes, and you have like a rewind feature where you can go in and practice individual sections of individual stages, and just all kinds of stuff, and lots of customizing options. Like I said, you can turn on auto bombs in the arcade mode, which makes them that's very, very useful to have, and you can give yourself like more lives, or you can turn the difficulty way down. You can do whatever you got to do, because these are some really tough arcade shooters. So if you need to turn the difficulty down and turn on auto bombs to get deeper into the game and experience the later stages, then go ahead and do that. There's no shame in that, right? Come on. But these are just amazing, amazing collections. Again, M2 Shot Triggers. Just absolutely crushed it, and again, I'm eagerly anticipating their release of Dodonpachi Daiojo. But again, there they are, the TOA Plan Shooting Garage collections, and I'm like, please make another one of these and put in Truxton and Zero Wing, and that's going to be, mind blown. My head's going to explode. Next up, this I thought was really cool, published by Beep, which, if you don't know, Beep is a retro game shop here in Tokyo. It's actually in Akihabara, and they mostly specialize in retro Japanese PC games. So when they published this, I thought this was awesome. Cotton Reboot. Love this game. And I'll say there's Cotton Reboot and there's Cotton Rock and Roll, aka I think Cotton Fantasy. I prefer Reboot over Rock and Roll. Even though Rock and Roll, they have like a ton of characters, and it's really fun, and all the characters play different and stuff. I just think the gameplay in Reboot is just so solid and fun. I'd rather just play this game. I don't need like a million characters and all that kind of stuff. I'd really just rather play the better playing shoot 'em up, even though you can unlock additional characters in here. I think at the end of the day, you can have like 4 playable characters in here, but it's just a lot of fun. Like it says, it's a rebooted version of the original Fantastic Night Dreams Cotton, which I had played for the longest time on the PC Engine CD. Here, though, they include the X68000 version of the original game, which is especially cool. So you can get to go back and play what I guess most people would consider the best version of the original game. Then you can jump over and see what they did with the reboot and just have a ton of fun. But I mean, the visuals are excellent, the soundtrack is excellent, the gameplay is awesome, whether you're playing the original or the rebooted version, although I definitely prefer the rebooted version. I think they did an amazing job at updating this game. It's really awesome. And again, like I said, there are those unlockables. You can unlock additional characters to play as, and there's also a score attack mode, which is pretty fun as well. So just all things considered, Cotton Reboot is an improvement over the original, and even if you don't think so, you can still just play the original on Cotton Reboot, so that's excellent. So this Cotton Reboots. If you like shoot 'em ups at all, I'd recommend picking that up and playing it. And then here, the one I saved for last. This game, I played the absolute hell out of it, and this is what I personally think right now. Of everything I've shown here, I think this is pound for pound the best shoot 'em up on the Nintendo Switch. It is Rolling Gunner plus Overpower. And I had played the original Rolling Gunner pretty extensively at arcades, because they have these Nessica Live cabinets where they have a bunch of games in them. I guess they're like online or whatever, but they have a whole bunch of games in them that you can choose from. And when I saw Rolling Gunner, like, I'd never heard of it before, but I saw the gameplay. I was like, wow, this looks really cool. So started playing it, immediately loved it. A really great side-scrolling bullet hell shooter. The gimmick is that you have the rolling gun. It's like a little satellite gun that follows your ship's movements, and you can fire in all directions with it, and you can lock it in place, or you can use it for like really concentrated, powerful shots, which is really useful against bosses. And you got super bombs and all what else. And it was just a really great, solid playing bullet hell shooter. But with this release, they also include Rolling Gunner Overpower, which I think is even better than the original Rolling Gunner, because it's still the same stages and enemies and everything. They hadn't really changed any of that, but the gameplay has been changed quite significantly. In particular, it's now a twin stick shooter. So one stick controls your ship's movement, the other stick controls the movement of your rolling gun. So like that just like changes the dynamic of the game like entirely. You now have total control over the rolling gun. So that's great. And then the rolling gun, it can also cancel out bullets it comes into contact with, so you can use it as kind of like a shield, kind of like an R-type. And you also have a buster shot now, and the buster shot also cancels out bullets it comes into contact with, which is great, because the original Rolling Gunner is a really tough bullet hell shooter. It's a damn difficult game. So having that advantage of, one, you can control the rolling gun with the other stick, and you can use it as a shield, and you can use the buster shot to cancel out bullets. That makes it like an easier playthrough. It's still not an easy game, but definitely easier. And just aside from that, still just awesome bullet hell gameplay, great graphics, great sound design. It's challenging as hell. It's just great. Like, I've played the hell out of this game. Love the original Rolling Gunner, but Overpower to me is just a more fun experience. But when you pick up this collection, you get both of them. You get the original arcade version and you get Overpower. And really, what more can you ask for? So this, I was just like, when I first saw it on like Amazon, Japan, and I was like, oh my God, Rolling Gunner on the Switch? My dreams come true. So yeah, there you go. Rolling Gunner plus Overpower. Wow, I can't say enough good things about this. Rolling Gunner plus Overpower. Amazing game. Like I said, right now I think probably the best shoot 'em up on the Switch, in my opinion. But there you go. That's a big old stack of Switch shoot 'em ups. And I have more here. Some of the stuff I didn't feature today. I do have like the Tkyo shooting collections. Those are pretty cool. Like R-Type Final, or is it R-Type Final 2? Several others. There's like I said, no shortage of shoot 'em ups on the Switch. And I know there's like, again, a bunch more that are digital. I've played a few of them. They're really good. And again, down in the comments, let me know what did I miss, because I haven't played them all. And there's probably some available digitally that I haven't touched yet, some available physically that I haven't touched yet, that I probably would really like to. I'd like to maybe do a part 2 at some point with some more shoot 'em ups I'm picking up. Like I said, Dodon Pachi is going to be coming pretty soon. There's some other good stuff. I think Trouble Witches is coming. Trouble Witches Final? I'm not 100% sure what the subtitle is, but a Trouble Witches game is on the way to the Switch. That's going to be awesome too. Hopefully there's going to be another like Taito Shooting Garage. There's just, I don't know. The Switch has kind of turned into like my shoot 'em up machine. That's mostly what I play on these days, like shoot 'em ups and retro style games, beat 'em ups and things like that, and then some first party Nintendo stuff, or even like, what did I pick up recently? Klonoa and Skyrim. Playing Skyrim on the Switch, that's a hell of an experience. Anyway, that's besides the point. Everyone, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, let me know down in the comments, what do you think are the best shoot 'em ups available on the Switch? I'd like to know. And with that being said, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.